Good morning. My name is Mehak Soni. Welcome to Orchard Park Secondary School, home of FRC Team 2056. If you have any questions throughout the day, please feel free to ask me. I would like to introduce our first speakers, Nathan and Nikhita from Team 3683, who will be presenting on Strategy 101.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello. All right. We're going to have some pressure being the first one of the day, I guess. But at least we're not following anything important. So that's always good. Should we just introduce ourselves with the first slide?
Sure.
And then we can ask the crowd about some demographic-ish questions? Wait, that's tech control. Yes. I can do stuff. So who are we? Hi, I'm Nathan Haldenby. I'm an alum of Celtics 5406. Yeah. And now I'm on Team Dave. I'm a mentor on Team Dave. And I bounce around some other teams throughout the season whenever that I can help. I'm currently a student at the University of Waterloo for environmental business. Yes, I'm not an engineer. I'm a big camp counselor personality, so I'm a big personality person. Big Monster University fan. If you can see my bag, it's an MU bag. That's generally about me. I did FRC for 4 years on Celtics, and then when I went to school, I joined Team Dave to figure out myself more.
I'm Nikhita. I spent my grade 12 year at 4252, a little Markham team. And then I went on to Dave as a mentor since 2019. We are both strategy mentors. I don't know if you could tell. And I graduated from math and business from Waterloo. I love cats. These are my cats. That's Zip. That's Jack. Zip is Zip Tie. That's his full name. And I work in data. Yeah. So let's get some. What I want to know about you guys. What teams are you guys from? Can we go around the room and you guys tell us what team you're from? Can we start on this side?
Sure. I'm Al. I'm from Team 4903 in Windsor, Ontario, Vincent Massey Mustangs.
Thanks.
And I'm a strategy mentor.
Great.
I'm Footman. I'm from Team 4935 from NAC Robotics.
I'm Sandro from 22935, FRC Robotics.
I'm Kaden. I'm from 10015.
Ooh, nice.
10,000 team.
Let's go. Hell yeah.
Ryan, 3683. Richie, 1231.
My turn. Aryan, I'm from 7902.
Craig from 3161.
I'm Tegan from 4436.
My name is William. I don't really have a team.
Nice. That's great too.
I'm Justin. I'm from 10015.
I'm Lisa, and I'm from 1310 Runnymede Robotics.
Jacob from 365.
Brennan, 4476.
Mark, from 2164.
I'm Jacob from 1860. I'm from 10015.
I'm Kirby from 1325.
I'm Owen from 346.
Solomon 6135.
Joel, 6135.
Ryan 6135.
Brandon, 4917.
I'm Greg from 1860.
Nice.
Nice. We got a lot of teams here, which is great.
That's awesome.
Not too many of one
Good
team,
turnout.
but always great. That's a fun exercise to speak a little bit in front of people, because when you do strat, you talk to a lot of people very quickly. So it's there'll be a little activity later in the presentation that will help get you some communication skills and practicing some match strat. It was a good warm up to saying, hey, I'm from a team. I'm trying to win with you. I'm cool. I'm Nathan. Great. So why is strategy important? We want to start this talk by saying, at a baseline, why should you even be here? Why do we even care? Why do we put so much time into having a strategy when this is an engineering competition at the end of the day? The greatest differential we can have in a match right after a robot is built is having a plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So a commonly misattributed quote that I find very interesting in my life that's famous, that is always misattributed to Abraham Lincoln, is if I had 5 minutes to cut down a tree, I would spend the first 2.5 minutes sharpening my axe. There's no proof he said this, but anyway, people think he did. Time is extremely invaluable in match. It's the only currency of things that you really can't increase. It's set. You have 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So it's really about maximizing how many points you can score per second in that time. So the way you get the most out of your time is by optimizing every single second you are using. Yeah, we talked a lot about money, or we talked a lot about like points, but these are all ways to maximize your time in a match. You only get so much of it, and so when you can get the most out of it, that's how you maximize your team. It's important to remember the purpose of optimizing your performance and competing as an alliance too. When making a plan, your alliance, you need to be responsible and maintain and unbiased as possible. So when we're in a match, it can also often be really easy to just focus on yourself and be like, I know how to maximize myself. I'm Team Dave. I want to do good. But it's the most important to remember that you are a group of three. And so when starting match strategy and getting into talking about matches or competition, your first mindset should be like, okay, I'm not just Team Dave in this match. I am this group of three. I am each individual unique attributes of each person. They all have different robots. They all have different strengths. They all have different weaknesses. I need to now learn about our teammates, not just me. It's good to know yourself. This way you can communicate that, but it's about the group of three. You gotta go in knowing that. Sometimes the strategy that is best for everyone may not be best for you. And sometimes it may feel like you're underachieving when you're exploiting those strategies. But it's important to remember that is in your best favor. We'll have an activity. Oh, I'll do that. Yeah, that's fine. We'll have an activity later that will help kind of get you into practicing and showing these like theories that not practicing yourself or not pricing yourself above other people will be important. And so we'll have a little activity to help kind of prove all the points in this presentation. Another key part is to mitigate risk. Reducing the unknown allows us to have a better idea of what will happen and plan to win. So if you minimize your risk, then you will have a better chance at winning because something less likely can go wrong. So if you know you're going to win, because there's very little that can happen that makes you not win, then you guaranteed win. Obviously, you can't have a guaranteed win, but it's important to try it decreasing the amount of risk as possible. If your robot breaks, then you scored like 0 points, and that is the worst. So even if you score 1 or 2 cycles and you mitigate that risk, right, that is way better than being like, I can score 1,000, but it only happens 1 every 1,000 matches. So really, you only average 1. But it's also important to remember that risk, we're not trying to remove all risk. For some teams, maybe you want to remove all risk, but for a lot of teams, sometimes you need to be a little risky. I know that even on Team Dave, there are a lot of matches that we are not going to win. No matter what we do, no matter how good we are, no matter how great our teammates are, it's just not going to happen. So sometimes it's important to make a match more risky. This way, you're already going to lose. Let's have some havoc. Let's have some chaos. If I want chaos in a match, I know I'm going to lose. Because if you make an upset, then that's all I can hope for. So if I go in knowing I'm going to lose, let's try some things to make things a little crazy. Make sure that they don't know what's happening. And then I don't know what's happening, and that's good because I knew I was going to lose. Great. We can go to the next one.
So we're not going to go over the basic stuff. We're not going to go over how to use your data, how to make a pick list, or how to do your match strategy or anything like that. We're going to go over the stuff that we thought was important to bringing our strategy and scouting from good to great. This is key advice and fundamental rules that we follow on Team Dave. They might be applicable to you. They might not. And it really depends on how your team runs. But this is what we have learned from the years that we've been mentoring Dave.
Next one?
Yeah. You got it.
Yeah, I can.
So establish the info you actually use. There's no point in collecting information that you realistically cannot effectively collect. Your scouts will struggle, and they will focus more on trying to achieve the task rather than doing the task well. But on the other hand, you don't want to collect information that you actually won't use. It's really easy to fall into the trap of collecting everything when you probably won't look at that information. So you don't really need the exact timestamp that a robot picked up a note, or the exact place on the field that they shot the note. You're not going to use that information realistically. It's not useful to collect information that you're not going to look at, and it just gives your scouts more to do and compromises quality. So we created the scouting hierarchy of needs. The first level is OPR, EPA, and statistics. So if you have nothing, at least you have statistics.
Your team is like brand new. You got 2 kids. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm a 10,000 team. You have something, even if you don't have kids to put on, or even mentor support to put on scouting. You do have. There are some resources. While they are not the most reliable, that's better than nothing.
Yeah, as long as you're taking it with a bucket of salt, and you are using the numbers generally and not literally, then statistics is probably fine. But that's the lowest level.
That's the baseline. You gotta move up.
Yeah. Next up is the eye test, basic qualitative data. So we call these scouts on day, we call them expert scouts. These students will sit in the stands and record general information about the scoring capabilities of the robots. So it's not only useful for math strategy to generally know the capabilities of your team partners and the teams you're against, but it's also useful for picking. It's better to have a general idea of where everybody sits and what kind of things they can achieve than nothing, right? This is probably your best bet if you have exactly 6 scouts that will sit in the stands and record information. If you have more than 6 scouts, that means you can kind of trade them in and out, give them breaks, do things like that. But if you have more than 6 scouts, you will probably fit into the next.
So
the next.
You have some kids support. Maybe they're not the best at doing their job because they're new at it, or maybe you are like, I barely have 6. I don't really trust or have the infrastructure to scout full numbers. This is where they can generally have an opinion and ranking on each team. Having up to 6 people allows to have some diversity in opinion and stuff, and so it helps average out and to be less biased. So yeah, when you have low amount of numbers, but some people to be able to dedicate towards scouting, it's great to just have some basic data and some basic like opinions and just like basic like words, right? Qualitative data, not quantitative, which is numbers. Some basic descriptions of how a team is good and bad, and this will help push you. Like this is like probably the biggest upgrade, right? From basically nothing, some basic numbers that don't really mean much, to being able to describe how a team works, some advantages and disadvantages. And you could make a pick list off that. Again, it would be not as great as, a little rough, but you definitely could. I have in the past, and they worked fine. So
sometimes you get a C&E, you don't have any scouting.
Yeah, right. Or like even good teams at some off-season events, right? Low student support, or you're just like, I don't want to put the energy into having to have a big infrastructure for an event that's not overwhelmingly important. Or I want to train some kids on what good teams look like. So, yeah.
It's complicated.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, good in.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes. I see. You stole mine. That's why I got confused. Great. Next up is basic quantitative data. So for this year's game, I'm not sure if any of you guys really know this year's game, unless you should. Crescendo had these notes, these big orange game pieces, and that's what your main game piece was scored. It was in the speaker or in the amp. And so the basic quantitative measure was how many of these can you score, just in general. Maybe you wanted to differentiate between amp and speaker, but then you get a little more confusing, right? So the main number we really used, even in 2023 especially, was just how many can you do? Don't really care about the quality of these things really in-depthly, or can they be defended, or really much of that like qualitative information. More just basic quantitative data. Now we can use this to help back up some of our opinions, help make that pick list a little bit more depth. So yeah, this data is like hugely helpful, giving you direct information on how a team will probably perform in a match. If you have fewer scouts or less invested group, but not enough people to collect a reliable sample size, this is where you're probably. If it's unrealistic to collect detailed information on these robots, it's way better to have a basic, performing, basic quantitative scouting system than a poor performing system that collects too much information. So yeah, if you're like, it may take a while to move up to the next level because this covers most of the needs you have for scouting data. And so when you have some kids past the level we can actually dedicate scouts, have a schedule, have people be able to swap on and off instead of just 6 people dedicated, because then they'll get tired or not want to be in first anymore. Happens to a lot of teams. You get some basic information, and then you can move up and have some number to back it up. But this one, you should probably be comfortable in, have some years experience, or a lot of events anyway, before you make it to the next step.
And the next step is where we stand. It's where Dave stands. Detailed quantitative and qualitative data. So this includes cycle counts, dying frequencies, auto nodes, and precise speaker and amp counts. What you'll need is probably a couple of scouting mentors and more than 6 experienced students on your team to achieve this. This is where most of the top, I'd say 15% of Canadian teams, FRC teams, sit in. If you're here, you're probably operating pretty well. You're probably pretty established. And a lot of teams create tools to support this. So we have a scouting app, we have a full data pipeline, stuff like that, but that's not totally necessary. It's really dependent on how you run your strategy. But detailed quantitative and qualitative data is generally one of the best places to be sitting.
Yeah. And these tools, right, they're more additive, more quality of life. The app helps us not have to fiddle with papers at the end of a scouting meeting and have to upload them all and have some kid dedicated to doing that. But it doesn't make our quality that much better. May even make it worse, because now kids are like, how do I use an app versus a paper? I can very much know. So yeah, it's a trade-off for sure in that aspect, but don't feel like to be able to collect detailed information, you have to have a big infrastructure and you know how to scout, to code an app, or know how to use like industry tools like Tableau and stuff. You don't need to know that. Paper works still fine. And then the next one is the one that everyone wishes that they could be. There's probably only a couple teams in the world that actually do this step well. Anyway, a lot of teams try, and I know we did, and it didn't work very well. So the final step is location and time data. So this is the most complicated, collecting like location data. So like where on the field they shot, from what accuracy are they at in this area. It requires a lot more experienced scouts. Yeah, and so scouts who have done the previous levels before can know how to scout the game, know the game well, and just basically know what's up. So if you get some new kid trying to figure out how to tap and do all these actions, and just trying to do first, the data just is bad, and then you can't use any of it. Not even the basic level, because it's all messed up. So on top of that, you kind of need to you basically need an app at this level. You need these industry tools, some quality of life that you've built to be able to score like time, right? It's really easy in an app to be able to score what time happened in a match. This isn't an easy feat to do. To get the system running effectively with minimal errors, but that usually has to do with your calibrator scouts, right? You can design an app, and that's the easy part, which is kind of weird to say, but designing an app is an easy part. Getting kids to be able to use that app effectively to match the quality of the app and to match the quality of what you're trying to collect is the hard part. We tried to break into that tier this year. We had time scoring, we had all this fancy stuff, we had location, and it made the actual data we used bad because kids were just too confused and too in over their heads. And so we tried it. We're definitely going to move back to the detailed level and not break back into location and time. Maybe in the next few years we'll try that again. But we've learned that you should really, really dedicate some practice time and even some off-season events to iron out the new system, having that detailed information. And ultimately, it wasn't even that useful for us, even if we did have it. I'm sure there's a couple of shots that we would have changed if we knew some information and like knowing, hey, you're really a bad shot from this area on the field. But at the cost of literally everything else, it's not worth it. So next season, we will definitely move back down a level, which is okay. Moving on this scale is based on your team, right? This is just our like basic guideline of what every team should identify where they're in, figuring out what some next steps are, and how to feel comfortable in a zone to then move up to the next one.
Yeah, so you want to pursue the scouting system that is within your abilities. There's no point in pursuing a tier that is higher than the one you're at, because then that compromises quality, and bad data is worse than no data. Okay. You have to develop a system that is totally dummy-proof. So on Dave, we have a scouting app, as we mentioned. We'll answer anything about the scouting app, by the way. Come find us later if you have any questions.
At the end of this meeting, depending on how long this goes.
Exactly.
We're kind of unsure.
We get live data through Tableau, but we're super privileged in that, and that's not a requirement for every team. Remember your audience. You'll probably have 14-year-olds who's never scouted before, who are going to be sitting there scouting for like 6 to 8 hours the entire day. So we don't want to make a system that requires all of their attention, and it takes like 4 steps to record a cycle.
That was our fault last year.
Yeah.
Too many steps.
You're gonna lose your scouts, and they're gonna get tired throughout the day, and you don't want that. If your process is too hard, your data is going to be compromised. Your scouting infrastructure and your data collection must be accessible to the scouts, or else it's basically pointless. Yeah.
Great. Like nowadays, it's like in Strat, it's almost like a requirement to be able to have the numbers you're scouting in Strat meetings. So we have live data that goes like onto the web, and then we can pull it back down ourselves. This way, no matter where our Strat team is, we can kind of tap into the scouts in the stands. But again, depending on what level you are, you may have to be running to your stands at the end of each match and being like, okay, let me write down the teams that I'm with, right? And whatever you can do. Yeah, it's pretty crucial to have numbers going into a Strat meeting that you're collecting in scouting.
So how can we make a scouting system that is definitely within students' abilities? Ask them. Students know what they can and can't do. They know whether the system is complicated or too complicated for them. The only way you know if you're shooting above your abilities is if you get feedback and asking how they're doing with the scouting process. And another way to evaluate your efficiency of your scouting system is to practice with recorded events. So we practice with a week 0, week 1 event that we can go back and see what the actual numbers are and compare it to what our scouts say the numbers are.
Our first event is normally the Canadian Pacific
region.
Yeah, because it's like really, really early events, so robots aren't moving very fast, which helps the kids figure out
what the buttons are.
matches their own speed. You'd be surprised. And then we move on to some like event far away that have good teams.
Your data is only as good as it is accessible to the scouts. So sometimes that requires sacrifices. That means recording less data. But as I said, less data is better than no data, better than garbage.
Data is bad and therefore is nothing.
Yeah.
It's just. The next one, right?
Yep.
Okay, this one is the one. Yeah, the fun one. Great. Another key to making scouting and being able to use these numbers for strategy is making scouting fun. This is basically what I did for the majority of the season last year, was being able to build on our scouting infrastructure in a way that makes it more engaging for kids and being able to make them want to be there. Because ultimately, if a kid wants to be there, your data is infinitely better, even if you're collecting at a low level. Maybe they're doing notes by themselves, or they're really invested. They know every team ins and outs because of some activity they're doing. So I spent a lot of the season making sure we had an infrastructure that was fun. So yeah, the key is that people clicking it care about it. Because if some kid is like, man, I love numbers, I love knowing what it was, that was me as a student, then that quality of data is going to be infinitely better. So yeah, once your team has some people to be able to dedicate time towards that, it's really helpful. For your scouts too, they'll have a lot more fun in the season. And so we had me to be able to put time dedicated strictly to scouting infrastructure and making it fun throughout the season. Yeah, so I mean, we're still learning about how to make it fun, right? This is kind of our first year really taking a strong attempt at it. We've tried some games in the past, which you don't put a lot of effort into it. It kind of just makes it worse for both parties because you're doing work and they're not really engaging. And so this is our first year really trying to like set down time to be able to make scouting fun. So we did a lot of different things. I don't want to go into it too much for time, but we have lots of questions and like we can spend the whole presentation on just this. I don't really care. It's up to you. But this year we kind of did the Simbuck thing, right? Where we started at that point where we did Dave Dollars, where scouts earned money throughout the event and throughout the season, and they kept that balance themselves. And then they did various things like every match we had a question, being like, who will win? Like, will this team trap? Like, will they score their line score over this many notes? And we had one mentor or student kind of asking those questions and checking if it did happen. So every kid would write on a piece of paper like, yes, no, 4. Like they're basically all yes or no questions. They're all binary. And then on their own sheet, they hand it in at the end of each day. Then we tally it up keep it in a spreadsheet, and then at the scouting meeting that night, we can update their totals. And at scouting meeting, we also gave out some like superlatives, like you scouted the most dead robots. This way, some kid is like, yes, I got the dead robots. Let's go. And so they're not like, no, it's so boring. Some robot is not moving. Or they're like, man, I hate scouting OP. They do too many things. Because my fingers are tired. You got the robot that did the most things. That's the award, right? So some of the dumb things that some kids are like, man, this is so boring. You make them want that to happen. And so that was how we tried fighting that. There's some superlative things.
At Western, we did scouted the most robodogs.
Yeah, because there's 3 of them. Whoever scouted the most robodogs over the event. This way, some kids like, yes, I got robodogs. Not saying that people didn't want that, but just in general. Anyway. We also had some other bonus things too, like, oh, you're the funniest scout. Here's some money. This way the vibes are up, right? This way some kids are trying to outshine other people, and then it's just like a fun environment in general. We have a lot of kids who might be like, I'll get you water, just anything. Right? Because they're trying to get that money. So at the end of the season, all the money that each kid had, we also had to tally ourselves. So we printed out like dollars themselves with like all their mentors' faces on them. We hosted at the end of our season like banquet or barbecue with throughout the season. I like asked some companies and like restaurants and stuff for like gift cards and small prizes that they can donate, and then we had an auction. We auctioned off all the items that throughout the season I procured with some parents' help. Like some things that were from in the season, like some extra game pieces, like the strap board that we had. We had the team donated some like swag stuff, right? A bunch of gift cards. And then I held an auction, and we auctioned off all the items based off all the money they earned throughout the season, and that was a big hit, a lot of fun. And now all the kids are very excited to scout next season because they want to earn that money again. And so
We had the pig kids asking us how they can earn money.
yeah,
We were
the
like,
other sub teams were like, how do I do this? I'm like, sorry, you're
Try scouting.
You're not good. I'm sorry, you're not one of us. And so I'm not saying that they would switch, but it helped other people being like, oh, this is cool, which is new for Team Dave anyway. So we're happy with how that went. We're still learning, and we want to make it a bit better next year, but at the start, it went well.
Info control. So a key part in a successful strategy system is controlling the information from the strategy team to the coach to the drive team. So we're lucky in that we have tons of strategy mentors and students, and we have tons of people to fill in all of these roles, but some teams don't, and that's just how it is. It's not a requirement to have a million strong mentors on your team. We just do. The job of the strategy team is to put together the plan for the match with the other teams in the alliance. It's not the coach's job, unless it is, and you don't have enough people on your team, which is fine. But it's not the drive team's job. The numbers, all of the disagreements, and all of the intricacies of the strategy meeting itself should stay with the strategy team. The only thing that should be passed on to the coach is the raw plan for the match, with information of what we're doing as well as what everybody else in the match is doing. This allows for the coach to mentally prepare and know what everybody else is going to do it. And this is important in preserving alliance cohesion. Yeah?
You know what I'm doing.
No, it's you.
Oh, okay, I see. Anyway, from there, the coach will share the information with the drive team. No one knows the drive team better than the coach. The drive team should only really have one source of information, and that is the coach. This way, if some kids in the stands like, you should play defense on this team, they're not like, what am I doing again? They know they trust one person, and that's the person that they report to. This reduces the confusion that may arise with multiple sources of information and reduces the stress of the drive team because they just know, hey, my coach is going to give me the information. It's going to happen around this time. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to be in a good headspace, ready for the next match, get the information from my one source that I trust. The drive team doesn't need to know any of the numbers. This includes robotics. We try to tell our drive team and our coach to be like, don't open this. I know it's fun to be like, oh, look, it's the highest it's been. I get it, but it can cause a lot of like stress of being like, oh, we're supposed to lose this match, and that can help just with some nerves. So, I mean, maybe our drive team is better when they're under the pressure that they're going to lose. We've always found that normally that's not the case. Yeah, the drive team executes. That's their job. Their job is not to worry about what everyone else is doing or what the plan is or to whatever. Their job is to maximize performance on the field by driving their best. And we found that the best way for them to do that is to care about themselves and care for the match that's upcoming. That's it. If they worry about too much else, if they're trying to scout, if they're trying to fix the robot too hard, it can be challenging. So we try limiting what the drive team does extra, especially in the information side. So proper flow information between these groups can determine how your match goes, and your coach and your drive team feel throughout the day. So if your drive team is worried because they're like, I don't know what's happening, or I'm worried about this match in 5 matches, then they're going to drive worse than the next match, and that is ultimately the worst ever. So try to limit the information that gets the drive team through one controlled source, the coach usually, because they work with them. And maybe your coach is also your strat person, and that is helpful too, because then the coach can work with the strat, go to the drive team and be like, here's what's up, and then the drive team is not in the strat meeting. This way they're not confused about earlier information in that strat meeting, or just worried about someone else being like not following a plan or whatever. That's the coach's job. Next slide. I'm getting it.
Okay, match strat meetings. First things first, when you go into a match strat meeting, keep your calm. So these strategy meetings are sometimes very stressful, and there are sometimes disagreements, but don't lose your head. You got to remember that this is all for fun. Nothing will get done if people are upset. Fundamentally, a good match maximizes the combined capabilities of the entire alliance. So it's not just one robot performing to their peak and the other 2 robots just kind of not doing much. It's all 3 robots performing to their peak. It's better to have 3 well-performing bodies than one that's doing really, really well and 2 others that aren't doing really well. This means we all have to cooperate. So as Hank Green probably said.
You did say.
You did say it.
Anyway,
Can't
like
confirm.
a month ago. I can't. I watched.
And just because you were right about something doesn't mean the disagreeing person was wrong. So the perspectives between teams differ. Your opinion of what a team can achieve in a match can differ greatly from what another team thinks. There isn't just one source of truth in FRC. So we need to find compromise. It doesn't matter if you're right. It doesn't matter if you're wrong. It just matters that we compromise and everybody is happy to preserve the cohesion of the alliance in the match.
Every strat person will have a different level of what level they'll give in to other people being strong-armed. You also will receive different level of being strong-armed to face off. Certain,
Depends what the match is.
Yeah, depends on the matches. Depends on who you are too, and people can be kind of gross sometimes, right? Especially, I know that we've had a lot of experiences. Yeah, worlds especially, just being Canadian in general, not knowing who we are. I know, like, not to speak for Nikhita and stuff, but like a strat team who identifies as female tend to have a harder time at worlds, and that is also ultimately a thing that you should recognize. And Nikhita runs a lot of our strat meetings at worlds, and I tend to just be a backup there and basically just saying what she said again, and they're like, oh yeah, that sounds right. I'm like, dude, we didn't have that bad of experience last year with that. 2 years ago we did.
It was bad.
Yeah, that last match was rough. So it's important to acknowledge that the quality, what makeup of your strat team is, to be able to identify ways that you may be able to support people in your strat meeting being kind of bullied on. So it's unfortunate. In Canada, we do a really good job at this. It's not really generally a big issue in Ontario, so not to make you scared if you're doing these strat meetings. But age, gender, a lot of these descriptors, they can play a big role into how pressured you get into things. So there's a different level on how much you give in and stuff. Nikhita never gives in, never ever. There's half an hour strat meeting at Worlds this year because Nikhita was not taking no for an answer. And that sometimes you
It's different when you mail the numbers.
Yeah, you gotta know when to force it. Coverizing is important. But when 2 of the teams are like, yeah, this sounds right, and then the one team is like, oh, I think that you can't score. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah, you gotta know when to give in and know when to compromise, while ultimately not pissing everyone off, because then they'll play despite you, or they'll play. We did it once, and we still won because it didn't matter, but don't do that. It's hard to be a bigger person too, to be like, I hate you too, you hate me too, and I'm gonna do exactly what you say to the best of my ability, and you're gonna realize you were wrong. We did that one match, and the score should have been higher because our teammates didn't do what they should have done, because we gave them twice as many notes as they thought we could have.
Okay, we don't do that.
Anyway, I'm just saying.
Let's do the activity.
I'm over it. Yeah. We do the next slide now?
Yeah, it's the activity.
Oh, it's activity time.
Activity time.
Great. So we're gonna try to break into groups of 3. I encourage you to break into a group of 3 of people who aren't in your team, because when you do a strat meeting, you find alliances that aren't on your own team. So it'd be nice to see alliances of 3, right? We can do that now. Find a space you can just sit together. You don't need a big space to do this activity. Introduce yourselves. Go mingle.
Go pick partners, please.
Yeah, pick a partner. In strat, you communicate. This is part of the thing.
Good?
Oscar?
Yeah.
You only need 2. Three teams have it only. They picked each other. Groups of 3. Whatever. Just generally. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Okay.
Great. Are we all in a group of 3? Raise your hand if you're not. We can move some people around the room. Is everyone? We're all good? I'm seeing no objection.
Okay, maybe sit, I don't know, if you can.
Well,
I
you can
think
stay.
I
You
think
can
I'm
stay.
the odd person out, so I think that everybody else has got 3, so.
There's some people over there. Yes, pointing.
I'm not the team yet. Is anyone missing one?
Oh,
There you go.
great. Those 3. Beautiful. We're all good now. We can move people around if we need.
Okay.
Great. Standing is fine. You're not going to move at all, really. So go ahead and sit there. Great. So what's going to happen is I'm going to go around and I'm going to give you each 2 cards. For this first activity, it's going to be like an open hand. We're all going to see what's going to happen. You're going to have 2 cards. One is going to be a higher number, one's going to be a lower number. And one of your 3 can pick their higher number, and the other 2 must pick their lower number. And it's your job to figure out, do a little basic math to figure out what is the sum that makes our lines best. This one will be pretty quick. Basically, by the time I'm handing out the cards, the first groups will be done. It should take you not too long, with a group of 3 especially. And then we'll get into some more advanced versions of this with some altercations and specifics about each team, because everyone has not just a number, a robot behind it. So Nikhita and I will walk around and hand you out some cards. How many of them are there? You can introduce yourself while you wait.
Okay, so folks, these are your cycle numbers. So what you're gonna do is one person picks the highest number that they have, and the other 2 people pick the lower of the 2 cards. Okay, does that make sense? And what you're gonna do is you're gonna make a math strategy together and try to figure out who's doing fast lane, who's doing slow lane, who's doing support, stuff like that.
Then you guys both have time to run. So we get the next one, exactly that. We're gonna work the way that's slow. You guys are best over.
I guess the question to figure out now is your team, are you going to let drop something
Okay, are we all good? We all figured out our peak score, we got it?
Yeah, we got a peak score. We will.
Okay, great. So what's gonna happen is I want you to find someone who's not in your lines and swap cards with them. But so when you're in line, swap cards, hold off, go back to your lines, and we're gonna give you a new card to add. We all have 3 cards. That makes sense? So you need 2
Flip
new
your
cards.
cards around with other people.
And I'll give you a new one.
Yeah, we can.
No, swap with someone. I'll give you a new Why not?
Nikhita.
Great, we all have 2 new cards. We trade with someone.
I'm going to go around and give you modifiers. These are Jack, Queen, King.
Yeah, so someone will be a jack, someone will be a queen, someone will be a king, and the next slide will tell you what that means for your alliance. You can do the same thing you just did, but now with this new modifier, right?
Don't show your cards.
Well, this one you can, next one you can. So this one you can practice, why not?
Sure.
It doesn't really matter. The next one you cannot show your cards, but this one you can do the same thing you just did with the new modifier.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, like it's gonna be 2 minutes.
I know, I'll join that, yeah.
Okay. Are you in school or community?
Oh, really?
Different friends?
It was honestly pretty reasonable.
Community center?
Yeah, like on the day 1, and then the first week.
Yeah.
And we just broke that.
How many kids?
Yeah, we broke them all like
All right, we're all good. We all have 3 cards. Great. We're gonna do the same activity, except if you have a jack, you should -2 cycles to play defense in the fast lane, or if you're playing a solo, only -1. So yeah, if you have your high number is now -2, your low number is only -1. If you're a queen, you should add 1 to your low number, and if you're a king, -1 to both. Now do the same thing you just did, figuring out what your best sum is.
How many people can climb the mountain?
How
How much is climbing worth?
It's only worth only the king. Only the king can climb.
The king can climb.
Sure, figure that out.
Okay, but is it worth it? Climb?
Yeah, it's worth 2.
Okay, so worth. Okay.
I'll play slow lane with 6, that's still pretty good. 7, that's still pretty high. Both of yours, you're probably going to be about to maybe your team does take the minus 1 on it slow.
Yeah, and then you can talk.
Anyone can.
Oh, you lost. Okay, so yeah, that works. You want to do it? Yeah. I think it'd be Amber. We're good. I think it's probably good. What time for watch? Yeah. Okay, never mind. I can do probably tonight at 5.
I'm only
Well, I thought I fixed it.
You know what a cycle is?
Just give yourself
I got it to turn it on. You can I actually only did one and I worked like the story and
It's a gift box. What can you say?
Okay, last match I scored 9. My smart module I lost.
All right, are we all good? We all figured it out? Okay, what's gonna happen is Nikhita and I are gonna run around and collect your face cards, your
Face
king,
cards,
queen,
face
or jack, right? And then you're gonna do the same thing, swap with someone for your 2 cards. But please don't show your alliance your cards, okay?
Let's go swap.
Wow, look at that, you know.
I thought you were coming.
I signed up lunchtime on Friday.
Okay, so everybody? Center card with other people.
Yep. We have new cards. Our alliance partners don't know what our robot can do yet. We haven't had a staff meeting yet. No one has a face card, right? Great. So now Nikhita and I are going to give out these new ones again, and then the new modifier will be different. Great. So try to show your alliance partner this one either.
Well, they're changing the so you know,
How's it going? Card I have.
yeah.
Someone asked.
Okay, so. You guys are yelling.
Other projectors.
Still on.
Still powered.
Oh, you don't have one yet? Jacket can effective. I think it's the same one.
You want to just read it out?
Let's just read it out. Okay, fellows.
So projector overheated everything. So we're gonna read out the modifier. So yeah, we're not showing our cards the whole time because there's gonna be a little bit of a lying involved in this one.
It's the last round.
It's turning back on. Okay.
We think it is overheated.
Okay.
Oh.
Sorry, don't worry about it. Thank you. See what's
So
in here, just
this one.
go fix the thing.
Okay. This one is gonna help simulate what happens if you are either don't know your own numbers and you give out a number in good faith. That's wrong, or you are strictly being like, I think we're better than we are. I'm gonna lie and say that we're good. I'm hoping that I can get this right. I can stall long enough to get the projector.
Just read it out.
Okay, fine. What? No. So for this activity, we're gonna try having this strat meeting in 30 seconds. Your match is in 30 seconds. So when I tell you the last modifier, we're gonna have a countdown of 30 seconds. So try and work some swiftly through this one. You have to practice. Great. So if you have a jack, you must say you have +2 to your low card. Oh, okay, you have +2 to your low card. So for example, if your low one is a 5, you say it's a 7. That may be higher than your high card, and that's okay. That is now your high one. If you have a queen, you must say you have -1. You're a little humble on your high card. So for example, if your high card's a 5, is now you say it's a 4. And if you have a king, you're running late to the strat meeting, you can only talk in the last 10 seconds. Okay, we're good? 3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, so I'm gonna put it up.
Putting it on the screen.
Okay, 10 seconds, go! 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, stop.
It's over. It's over.
You're on the field. 3, 2, 1, ding, ding, ding. It's time to go.
I'm hot.
Okay. Who found that one
Let's
way
take our
harder?
seats. Let's take our seats first, and then we'll talk about it.
Sit down now.
We're just doing stuff. We're losing. We're losing.
Yay!
Where's the stuff? You don't have the stuff.
Where's that water?
Okay, great. So before we leave today, we'll have you give us your cards before you leave. So you can hold on to them just for now, and then we'll get them. Yeah, I'm just saying. That's good.
What time do we end?
Great, 7 minutes.
Okay, let me finish. Review and fine tune. One of the greatest things you can do is review and fine tune your scouting strategy. At the end of every match, we review it with the coach. We call it match review. We record the match on a phone so we can watch back with the coach, and so that our coach understands where our critiques are coming from. This allows you to improve match over match and helps the coach do their job better over the event. The strategy team should review the numbers throughout the day. So getting an idea of how we're performing and how we're projected to perform can give you an idea of whether or not the changes that you're making to your strategy are effective or not.
Also really helpful for activity like that, right? If you know your own numbers, if you're not like -2 +2, right? It may have been a little bit short of time, 30 seconds or 10 seconds for the king. But if you were to add up your numbers and then figure out what you should have scored, it would have been lower because you didn't know your low numbers, your high numbers. The number you were worse off anyway.
Yeah, the only way to progressively get better is having insight into how you're doing and then taking steps from there.
Great. I encourage you to run that activity with your strat team at the start of the year, just to have fun with your team bonding maybe. Yeah, I ran this at kickoff last year too with the Waterloo teams, and that was a lot of fun. I'm sure you had fun too. But yeah, the activity helps prove that it can be pretty chaotic when you have lots of different contingencies in your robot. So it's good to give it time and talk it through. Know your own numbers. So knowing this is what my high number is, my low number is. It's a lot easier when it's nice and simple and you know what's up, like the first activity than it was that last activity. Don't be late to a strat meeting because that makes it really hard.
We also, at the end of the season, like to review, not at the end of the season, at the end of every competition, like to review how our scouting numbers are, how inaccurate are they, and is there anything we can add or remove to make our scouting system better? It's important to review how effective your scouting is, as Jeff Bezos said. If the antidotes and the data disagree, you should trust the antidotes. You may be measuring the wrong thing. So if your data is giving the picture that OP is not performing well, your data is probably wrong.
And that's really easy to know if it's OP, but a lot of teams fall through the cracks too, which is also a piece. That's why it's really important to know where your data is, because then you maybe get a really good team.
Yeah. Mid-season, we added a feed button because that's just how the game progressed, and that's just how the meta changed. Our data said that teams were just missing and dropping game pieces a lot.
We didn't all streamline what a feed was, since we added a button so every kid was doing it. So.
Yeah. So constant improvement is the most important thing in the whole process.
Great. We're here all day if you have questions because we are running out of time. But these are ads for Instagram. I have a robotics account and a personal account. So reach out to whatever one you want. Great. Bye.
Thanks.